Black turtleneck on, check. Black Scully on, check. It must be week 1 of the college football season. We have so much to talk about today. First thing first, where will I be at this weekend? I know you guys want to know. If you're on the X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, you probably have an idea where I'll be. I ain't gonna tell you just yet. I'll tell you after the intro. Also, Louisville versus Georgia Tech. Seen both of these teams at ACC Media Days. It's a lot to talk about with these teams, and there's one team that I am kind of high on that I think is gonna do pretty well this year. Also, Florida Gators versus the Utah Utes in Salt Lake City. It's gonna be a hell of a game. They gave us a great game last season. Can't wait to see what they have tomorrow, but I do have a few questions about this game. Also, my college football playoff prediction. It's been long enough. I promise you, the governor's going to give you that playoff prediction. And also, we will be live from location on Saturday. So excited about it. And you thought I was going to slip up and tell you right now. I'm not going to tell you until after the intro. Governor of College Football, hashtag GoCFB. CFB Nation, your only college football destination. Let's get it. Welcome to the Governor of College Football. College football is in the air, and oh, how nice it is. First thing first, let me tell you before we get into this Tech and Louisville preview where I'll be this weekend, I'll be in Ann Arbor, Michigan, one of the meccas of college football. Me, D-Now, Director Mike, and Moon will be there. We'll be live on location for the ECU Pirates versus Michigan Wolverines game. We'll be on the field, of course. I cannot wait. I'm like a kid in a candy store. Let's get to this Louisville versus Georgia Tech game at the Benz. Like I said in the opening, I've seen both of these teams at ACC Media Days. Brent Key is a hilarious dude, but he means business. It's funny I say that because at ACC Media Days, he wasn't trying to be hilarious, but people kept asking him the same questions over and over again. Not the same exact question, but it pertained to expectations. He ate expectations. He was telling everybody, look, y'all asking me about week 1. I don't even know who my starting quarterback is. Let me get through fall camp before y'all start asking me these questions. And he doesn't like talking about the past. Last year, he had the interim tag. Did pretty damn good as an interim head coach. But he said, hey, I want to be better than 500. So he's the full head coach this season. I like Brent Key. I like the makeup of Brent Key. I can tell he's a no-nonsense guy. But to his players that can get through to him, I'm sure he's funny as hell behind the scenes. We haven't met him in that aspect yet. I know we did talk to him about rapid fire questions. Shout out to Moon. Moon killed rapid fire questions. Let's get into this game. Louisville at Georgia Tech. We want to talk about the Louisville side of things first. Cal transfer. Jack Plummer is now there. Had a pretty damn good season last year. 21 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and a PFF grade of 78.4 for the record. And let the record show that anything over 75 as it pertains to PFF, I'm happy with. I'll take that, especially if you got playmakers around you. 75 or better, I'll take it. Louisville, former quarterback, Brian Brom, is now the offensive coordinator there. His family member, Jeff Brom, is the head coach. I really like the makeup of this Louisville team. I really like how friendly their schedule is this year. I also like that I believe they're one of the teams that play 7 home games this year. This Louisville team is going to be damn good. I promise you that. So, Jack Plummer, he'll be protected by a pretty good offensive tandem in Brian Hudson and right tackle Renato Brown. Jawar Jordan is a running back that I don't hear enough people talking about. Maybe they are. I just haven't been hearing it. He's a smaller stature, and the one thing I hate about running backs that are of smaller stature, people are always saying, oh, this person can't run in between the tackles. Like, they ain't been running in between the tackles their entire life. Maybe they can't do it with the effectiveness of a Josh Jacobs or a Derrick Henry, but it doesn't mean they can't run in between the tackles. It's frustrating. People did that with Devin A-Chain last year. But let me tell you something about Jawar Jordan. Jawar Jordan averaged 3.26 yards after contact last season. Also had a PFF grade of 78.4. He's a better running back than advertised, game-breaking type player, and he's good in between the tackles, believe it or not. Also on the outside, one of the receivers I want to talk about is Jamari Thrash from Georgia State. He's a bona fide number 1 wide receiver, had a PFF grade of 80.1 last season, 63 receptions on 93 targets for 1,127 yards and 7 touchdowns. I like that. These will be some of the players that I need to see Louisville trying to get the ball. Also, defensively for the Cardinals, if you don't know who Jarvis Brownlee is, where have you been? This guy jumps off the screen at cornerback. He had 2 interceptions last year, 4 pressure, 7 pass breakups. Let's talk about the Georgia Tech side of things. We mentioned Brent Key in the opening. Haynes King got the nod as quarterback. And from the intel that we have, our guy Moon lives in Atlanta. He was at the Georgia Tech spring game, and he told me he thought that Haynes King would be the starting quarterback. I wasn't surprised there at all. I like Haynes King at quarterback. I know things didn't work out in College Station, but he's a dynamic player. If you blitz him, do like a cover zero or man, wide receivers are able to get enough separation. He's a guy that could pick up first downs and move the ball with his legs. Also, let's talk about that running back, Trey Cooley and Dante Smith. We'll talk about both of them. I believe there'll be a running back by committee. Whoever gets that high hand in every game will get the most touches, and you would think at some point somebody will separate themselves from the other. But either way, I think they have a good tandem at running back. One thing, though, that I need to talk about with Georgia Tech, their success rate offensively last year was 35%. That is terrible. I think the league average is somewhere around 41%. And you say, 6%. And for success rate, for those who don't know, it's on first down, you pick up 50% of the yards. Second down, you pick up at least 70% of the yards. So third down will be 3rd and 3 and better. And fourth downs and third downs, you pick up a first down. That success rate is my favorite analytical stat that I pay attention to. And you will see a lot of times teams who are balanced offensively in yards to go situations and balanced defensively in yard to go situations, a lot of times end up winning championships. Georgia, for some reason, was really good offensively with success rate, and it will explain why they won back-to-back national championships. So let's talk about the better aspect of this game. FanDuel has Louisville as a 7.5 favorite, with the over/under being 48.5. I'm taking Louisville straight up. I'm taking Louisville on the spread, and I also think these two teams will go over on the over/under. Louisville is going to be a really good team in the ACC this season. It would not surprise me at all if they were the 3rd or 4th best team in the ACC, and they may have a ceiling that's even higher than that, depending on how things go. If they play for an ACC championship, yeah, it would surprise me, but at the same time, I'm be like, I can see it. They got 7 home games this year. It's gonna be pretty damn good to watch this team this year. Let's move along and talk about this game tomorrow night. That's right, that is Florida versus Utah. Wow, what a game they gave us last year. As you guys see the highlights, this is from last year's game. There is a couple concerning questions I'll have, and once we start talking about the Utah side of things, I'll get to them. You guys should already know what it is. Did a little foreshadowing there. Florida is returning 54% of their production last season. Other than the LSU and FSU game, this may be one of the most difficult games to call this weekend. There's a couple of others. I think South Carolina and North Carolina is going to be difficult to call. I know a lot of people are high on Drake May. I think Drake May is going to go on and have an excellent season this year and be a quality NFL quarterback. But don't count out Spencer Rattler. I know we're not talking about this game. We're going to talk about that game much more on Saturday. But when I think about the games this weekend, some of the hardest games to call, FSU and LSU, coin flip really, and then Florida and Utah, just because of the nature of things. But let's talk about Florida first. Many eyebrows raised when the Gators actively courted the talents of Graham Mertz. I've watched Graham Mertz play for a few seasons at Wisconsin, and there were times he showed flashes. I think if you look at it from a statistical standpoint, he was much better than a lot of people remember him being. It was just that the bad moments were really bad. I believe he's a guy that has a ceiling, and if he can achieve that ceiling, Florida can be one of the better teams in the SEC this season. But I believe we saw so much of the floor at Wisconsin. That's why when a lot of people heard it, they be like, yo, why is Florida so pressed with Graham Mertz? But they really like him. Word is that Wisconsin misused him. So Florida, Billy Napier and company believe that they can utilize him much better in the swamp than he was used in Madison. Surprisingly, I gave you guys my stance on PFF grades. He had a 75.3 PFF grade, threw for 2,100 yards, had 19 touchdowns and 10 interceptions last season. Not too shabby. The running back tandem of Montrell Johnson and Trevor Etienne will have one of the most potent rushing attacks in all of college football. Both running backs had PFF grades over 75. Both running backs averaged at least 5.3 yards per carry. I like the tandem. You should hear some of the conversations we have behind the scenes. We have to keep it, politically correct, of course, when we're live on air. But off air, we have some of the most difficult conversations to have, and it's because we love this sport. One of those conversations was who's a better back, Montrell Johnson or Trevor Etienne, and let's just say it got ugly. That's all we're going to say. Let's talk about Ricky Pearsall. He's the guy on the outside for the Gators. He had 34 catches last season on 59 targets with almost 700 yards and 5 TDs. That's a touchdown every 7 receptions. We're hoping that he can up those numbers this year. The determining factor for this game will be physicality. I've said it before. I said it again. Utah reminds me from a physical standpoint of an SEC team. I can't wait for this team to go to the Big 12 after Texas and Oklahoma leave. The Big 12 will be for the taking. And I believe teams like Texas Tech, teams like Kansas State, teams like TCU, and teams like Colorado a couple years down the line. But Utah would be ready year one in the Big 12 to win the Big 12, absolutely. And they could win the Pac-12 this year. I believe they may be the second or third best team in the conference. Let's talk about game changers. Game changers from a defensive perspective. And we're talking about Princely Umamelan. Had 27 total pressures last season, 4.5 sacks, and a PFF grade of 81.8. Let's talk about Utah. To play or not to play, as I get my William Shakespeare bag, that is the question. I've been searching everywhere to see if Cam Rising playing. I'm looking for any type of intel. I'm looking for any type of tells. I don't know, like sometimes you could just read tells. I don't like giving myself pats on the back. I let my work speak for itself. But there were some tells with Auburn this year. I kind of knew that Peyton Thorne was going to be their starting quarterback. Same thing with Virginia Tech. I had Virginia Tech intel, though. I knew that Grant Wills was going to be the starting quarterback. So when I'm trying to get intel and I'm trying to get tells, this Cam Rising thing is just interesting. I don't know if he's playing or not. Read a couple of articles. I'm like, oh, he's playing from the way that sounds. Read a couple of other articles. I'm like, oh, no, he's not playing from the way that sounds. So I don't know. But I tell you this. If Cameron Rising plays, I'm 100% going with Utah in this game. If he doesn't play, I don't know. I just don't know. But Utah's returning 76% of their production. If you know anything about production, league average is somewhere around 62%. For them to be 14 percentage points higher for returning production, they're clearly one of the best teams in all of college football. From my research, I don't think Brant Keithy is playing. I just don't. I think they're going to kind of take their time with this thing. I would love to see him play. Dalton Kincaid just came out of nowhere last year and really dominated what I thought it would be Brant Keithy's year. So I'm excited to see Brant Keithy get back and see if he could be the guy this year. If neither Rising or Keithy play, that will put a lot of pressure on the state of Utah's all-time touchdown leader for high school passing and Bryson Barnes. It's going to take a lot for him to win. But here are the ways that Utah can help Barnes. Establish a run game that we saw similarly versus USC in the Pac-12 championship. And two teams, it's interesting because these are two teams with depth at the running back position. Utah has depth. You know, they got Bernard, they got Jackson, and they Glover, and all of them must see TV. Jaquindon Jackson had a PFF grade of 91.7, averaging 6 yards per attempt last year. Micah Bernard is definitely the most effective of the three on third downs. Cole Bishop and Junior Tufan are the players I'm watching defensively. I think they're going to be able to make plays for them. Betting. Our friends out west got a difficult job to do as it pertains to betting. Utah is a 3.5 favorite with the over and under 45. If Rising plays, I'm taking Utah. I'm taking the spread. And I'm taking the over. If he does not play, I am taking Florida on the spread. I am taking under on the over-under as well. So that's how I feel about this game. Let me know in the comment section how y'all feel about this game and kind of where do you guys think these two teams will head after week one. Let's get to my college football playoff prediction. These are the teams that I have in the college football playoff. You guys don't know how difficult this is unless you do it. And a lot of times fans are going to think from a fanatic perspective. I'm excited about Florida State. I had a chance to talk with a lot of the players and personnel at ACC Media Days for Florida State. The danger in Florida State is that they play week 1 LSU, week 3 Clemson. They can lose both of those games. They really could. And then it makes this prediction look Desmond Howard-ish. And that's no disrespect to Desmond Howard. No disrespect whatsoever. You see my intro. You see he's at the end of the intro. There's a reason for that. Desmond Howard is my favorite college football player of all time. Charles Woodson is certainly in the argument, but Desmond Howard is certainly my favorite college football player of all time. And I know I say both of those two names. You guys will probably think I'm a Michigan fan. I'm not. It just happened to be that way. So, All-State Sugar Bowl. I got Alabama and Florida State. Rose Bowl. I got Michigan and Georgia. Why you guys want to piss Nick Saban off? It's a question I honestly want answered. Why do you all piss Nick Saban off? Worst thing that happened in college football last year, Alabama not making a college football playoff. Best thing that happened in college football last year, Alabama not making a college football playoff. Y'all see Nick Saban got to work. He got to work ASAP. And y'all want to piss this man off? Washed up and has been Nick Saban? Coach 7? He got 7 of them things. Washed up? Y'all tripping. So, I know with the quarterback situation, that's the glaring thing. Each of these teams have something that's glaring. That's the glaring thing for Alabama. Florida State, it's the schedule. Can they repeat some of the success they had last year? And then also, they left some meat on the bone last season and lost a few games that they had a chance to win. That's question marks about Florida State. Georgia, the biggest question mark is Mike Bobo. And I hate to say it. Y'all know how I feel about Mike Bobo, but he's the biggest question mark. Can they offensively have the same success rate that they had over the last 2 years? Operating at a 53-54% clip. That's being ahead of down the distance. That's what that is. Can they continue to do that? We'll see. Can they replace the production that they lost over the last few seasons? We'll see. I'm not betting against Kirby Smart. You win back-to-back national championships, you're in my college football playoff by default. I don't care. Let's talk about a few other teams. USC. What are they going to do defensively? That's kind of cliche. That's kind of what everybody say. Is Alex Grinch the right guy for the job? Pac-12 overall, are they just going to all beat each other up? Oregon State's a damn good team. USC's a good team. Utah's a good team. Washington is a damn good team as well. So you look at all these teams, you're like, are they just going to beat each other up and then kind of eliminate each other? LSU. I wanted to put them in there so badly. But I couldn't see me doing it over Georgia, who's in by default, or Alabama. I just couldn't do it. And plus, I believe that Florida State is going to beat LSU during the season opener. Michigan got their self-imposed suspensions. There's question marks about J.J. McCarthy. There's question marks about wide receiver. I think J.J. McCarthy is going to play well this season. I don't think we've seen him play his best ball yet. And if we do see him play his best ball this season, I believe this is the year for Michigan. And as you can see, in the national championship, I got Alabama and Michigan. And I hate to doubt Coach 7 because I just got on all the people who doubt Coach 7. But I had the Michigan Wolverines winning it all. This is my college football playoff. Get mad at me if you want. Let me address Texas. Everybody is so high on Texas. Texas has the best roster in all of college football. This is going to be year Texas. Texas going to do this. Texas going to do that. Texas has a friendly schedule. They absolutely do have a friendly schedule. But keep in mind, it's Texas last year in the Big 12. That matters to me. That matters to me an awful lot. We see Coach Yormark talk to Joey Maguire and say, make sure you take care of business. So that led me to believe, and I shouldn't go down this rabbit hole. I know I really shouldn't go down this rabbit hole, that they ain't going to do everything in their power to make sure that don't happen. So I don't see it with Texas. I believe that when they look good, they'll look really good when they're ahead. I want to see them down 10 points, how they play. Down 14 points, how do they respond? Things just not working out. They open up the game with 3 3-and-outs or 2 3-and-outs and 1 5-and-out. I just got to see them handle adversity. Yes, clearly one of the best teams in all of college football on paper, but I just have to see how they handle things. This is the governor of college football. I hope you guys enjoyed this show today. I enjoy doing this every time. I will see you all Saturday from Ann Arbor. It's going to be amazing. You guys have a great day.